Hello, good people of YouTube. Mountbatten here, and Merry Christmas, guys. Today, well, at least the day this video should be coming out, should be Christmas Day. Hope you guys are having a wonderful time spending this holiday season with your friends and family. I also hope that Santa Claus brought you everything that you asked for on your list, and I really hope some of those gifts that he has delivered to you are some better matches than what I've been having here in the past couple of days on the game. Because my God, it was pretty interesting getting some of the background footage for today's video. So yeah, Merry Christmas to you and yours, and hope you're having a wonderful holiday season. However, in today's video, we are talking about something a little bit different. So, today's topic comes from the reaction to the new dockyard ship being announced. If you have not heard the news, our next dockyard ship was announced on the Wargaming community stream earlier last week, or I should say later last week, then that's more appropriate English, and it's going to be the German heavy cruiser, the Blucher. I think that's how you say it according to the comments in my video talking about it. I was saying Blucher, apparently it's Blucher. So there you go. So the Blucher is a Hipper class heavy cruiser. The two Hippers we have in game are the Hipper and the Prince Eugen. They're both tier 8 ships. The Blucher is going to be a tier 9 ship. So obviously there's going to be some tweaks to its armor and its stats in game to better fit it at tier 9. And most of the reactions I saw from my comment section, from the subreddit, and elsewhere in the Warships community sphere was pretty positive overall. However, there were some that pointed out that this is now going to be the 4th dockyard in a row where it's just a copy-paste ship with some tweaks done to it. And, well, those commenting that are not wrong because, I mean, going back from the Blucher, we have the Nord right now, which is just a Prince Ruprecht, but Swedish, that's main battery gun focused and torpedo focused instead of secondary focused. And then we had the Almirante Oquendo, which is just an Andalusia with smaller guns and, of course, the dispersion gimmick. And then, of course, we have had the Wisconsin, which is in Iowa that's up tier to tier 10 with, again, some tweaks done to it and a funny button slapped on. So, I mean, that's a very valid point. 4 ships in a row of just copy-paste, some tweaks. When you think about it, it's like, wait a second. That's right. The last unique dockyard ship we had was what? The Michelangelo, which was a fantastic dockyard, and many of these dockyard ships that we're talking about, they are pretty good ships. With the Almirante Oquendo being the weakest in my opinion because it's just another HE spammy heavy cruiser with kind of a pointless gimmick. But I love the Wisconsin. I like the Njord, even though it's not the most up my alley type of ship. The Blucher, I'm going to assume it's going to be a pretty solid ship. Most of the time when a ship gets up tier to tier 9, it gets turbocharged. If you're good at playing, the standard version, if you will, the turbocharged version tends to be quite good as well. Think of like the Jean Bar and the Bourgogne, right? So have hopes for that one. So I'm not saying these ships are bad. I'm just saying that, yeah, they are getting a little bit repetitive. And then when you take a further look back at some of the tech lines that we've been getting here recently, there's quite a bit of copy, paste, and kit bashing going on there as well. I mean, the Commonwealth Cruiser line, that's an entire line of kit bash ships, right? Most of them from the Royal Navy tech tree. Even the Spanish cruisers, quite a few of them are kit bashed. I mean, the tier 10 is literally a Napoli but Spanish, right? I mean, again, it plays a little bit differently, and there are some differences here and there in the model, but the whole's a Napoli, right? So there are some very valid points there. And is that a good thing or is it a bad thing? And why is Wargaming doing this? Even with premium ships here recently, we've been getting a whole lot more copy-paste ships than we normally do, which, copy-paste ships, that's always been a premium thing, right? But we've been getting a lot of them here recently. Just off the top of my head, the Victoria, which is just a copy-paste Roma that's Spanish. We had the Johnston, which is another Fletcher copy-paste with some changes made to it. The Rodney, which is technically the 3rd copy-paste of the Nelson, if you want to count the Collinwood. You just rip a barrel out of each turret on the Nelson, right? And you shove it down at tier 7. So yeah, there has been quite a lot of copy paste, slight modifications here and there. Slap a price tag on it, send it into the premium shop or the armory, which of course has been drawing a bit of criticism because it's like, okay, this is just this ship, slightly different, and now we're being charged $40, $50, $77, $120 for these ships. And I think there's definitely some valid criticism there when it comes to looking at the amount of, just slight side grades or copy paste ships that we've been getting here recently, like with the Cosmomenons. Like, did we really need a side grade to the Donskoy with German guns? Like, was that really something that people were asking for? Answer's probably, no. So there's that, and of course, the camouflage. We've been getting some really lackluster permanent camouflages here recently. I mean, shoot, every time I go to review a ship now, I feel like the permanent camo is just a slightly different shade of gray, and that's kind of disappointing. Not that camo's that important, but so I'm gonna pay up cash for a perma camo. At least like it to look a little snazzy or something. Not like these over-the-top thematic camos, but like some nice dazzle camo or some historical looking camo, right? So I think there's some very valid criticism there when it comes to that, but I don't think there's some big conspiracy going on when Wargaming is just trying to recycle the assets they already have in game rather than develop anything new or model anything new, because the simple truth is, from at least what I'm looking at here, is that Wargaming's kind of running out of real-life ships to go off of. I mean, look at what we already have in-game. Take a look at the major naval powers of the 20th century. They're all pretty much already in-game, and they're real still ships, and they're real genuine designs they had, to go further with, their ships, are all pretty much in-game. I mean, the American tech tree is massive, absolutely huge at this point. So is the British tech tree, so is the French tech tree, although they are missing their CVs, which that's something that they could still, add in that really existed in real life. So, yeah. And then you take a look at, even the nations that weren't really that powerful when it came to their sea power in the 20th century, like Germany. Germany has a huge tech tree for some reason. We got German carriers. We have Soviet carriers, right? I mean, the Soviet tech tree is massive. So forth and so on. So the question is, what's there really left to add in that isn't already in? I mean, like Spain, we were talking about how Spain's tech trees kind of just copy-paste the cruisers. Well, guess what Spain did in real life? They, in often cases, bought ships from other nations or tried to license the designs to be built in Spain, which, going back to the Victoria, that Spain was generally looking at having a Littorio-class battleship built at that time, before the war broke out, so that's a very real thing that could have happened. Of course, Spanish destroyers could still be a thing with some new designs here and there. So, yeah, I mean, like it takes a lot to build a ship, right? To design a class, lay it down, finish it, have it constructed all the way, and launch it. That takes a lot of resources, more so than building, a combat fighting vehicle, like a tank or an LAV or something like that. Those are, of course, resource intensive, but like the sheer material that goes into building, a capital ship in the early 20th century, there wasn't really a whole lot of navies around the world that could, do that. A lot of them, like they do today, license designs or buy ships from other nations. Commonwealth, I mean, the whole Commonwealth tech tree, yeah, it should be hand-me-downs from the Royal Navy, because guess what all those nations had during, World War II and going on later into the 20th century. All hand-me-down ships from the Royal Navy that they bought and, tweaked in their own ways. Pan American battleships, yeah, they're, the hulls are, what are they? They're the tier 8, 9 hulls from the British battlecruiser line. Yeah, because guess who built all the Pan American Dreadnots? That honestly should, there should very much be a full line of Pan American Dreadnoughts, in my opinion. That's definitely a place where Wargaming dropped the ball, because you had all these Dreadnoughts that were built, way before World War II that you could have had a full line of, but that's another argument and another criticism that I think is very valid. But yeah, they were all built in Britain, right? And like the Pan American cruisers, I think that's another very valid point. There are some cruisers that definitely, well, quite a few real still historical cruisers that should have been used to make that a full line of ships rather than having a bunch of Worcester copy paste at the top tier. That's another very valid criticism that I see. But most of it is they're just kind of running out of ships. And, if I'm wargaming, I could go in and spend the thousands of man hours modeling this, obscure, maybe line of destroyers that had one or two built post World War II, didn't really do anything. Or I could go in and add in the Johnston, which is quite famous for its escapades with Taffy 3. Something that the player base has been asking for. One's going to sell more, one's going to be more popular with the player base, and I don't have to spend all the thousands of man hours creating a new model for a ship that may not sell that well. I mean, from a business perspective, yeah, you're going to go with the Johnston, like the Rodney or the Wisconsin, It's like, it makes sense when you look at it from a business perspective. Is it true that maybe they just don't want to model anything anymore, or they, want to recycle as much as possible? I'm sure there's definitely, a bit of that going into it as well. But again, I pose the question, what hasn't been added yet? And the answer is really a lot of submarines. And we know how the community feels about that, as much as I would like to see the Surcouf in game and the I-400 in game, because I think those are some neat, real still historical ships. Yeah, I think we might get like the New Jersey before we get like the I-400 or the Surcouf in game, because Wargaming knows how unpopular subs are. So yeah, and watch now, the next dev blog is going to be like the I-400 or something, just knowing my luck. But if you do like the I-400 and stuff, you can go over to Lesta's client, because they have super submarines, and I believe they have hybrid submarines as well on their client. They were testing them out back in the day. So yeah, there's always that that grass is greener on the other side. They like to point out that, hey, Wargaming is doing this, this, and this, but Lesta's doing this. Like, okay, you can go do that, but enjoy your pay-to-win signal flags and your super submarines and so many more super ships over there on the Lesta client. So yeah. But that's my 2 cents on those thoughts. I just saw a lot of that popping up, and again, in the Discord subreddit in the comment section. Just thought I'd share my opinion on that. And let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Do you think it's a bad thing that we're getting, these sister ships and these ships that, yeah, while they're copy and paste, they are based off of real still historical ships, and I think it's cool that we're seeing them come to the game. Is there something else that Wargaming could add in? I know Spanish destroyers, you could very much get probably a full line of those that were domestically produced by Spain, or, not borrowed some designs from other countries. I think you could definitely get a full line of those in game. You could probably, a lower half of the Pan American battleship line, you could probably do that. But anything else that I'm missing, let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. And again, I hope you guys are having a wonderful Christmas and a wonderful New Year if you don't hear from us again before then. Hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your Wednesday. Hope to catch you guys in the next one.